Is NewsNation's own Leland Vittert. He is a veteran overseas correspondent himself who spent time in Ukraine during Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea. So, Leland, good morning. Good to have you with us. You just heard that soundbite, but of course, the obstacle here for the U.S. at least is balancing American interests with the interests of the Ukrainian people who are just being left to slaughter right now.
Morning, Rutabaga. You bring up a really good point, which is at what point does the Ukrainian people's problem become America's problem? First thought that came to my mind when I heard your intro was, yes, and Ukraine gave up their nukes, which is what happened back in the 1990s. The United States and Russia said they would respect Ukraine's territorial integrity, and they gave up their nuclear weapons. So lesson number one, CC Kim Jong-un there and the other despots of the world who would want to get nuclear weapons for exactly the reason that you see what's happening in Ukraine. It doesn't happen to a country that has nuclear weapons. The issue that Ukraine is trying to point out here is that Ukraine is the canary in the coal mine for the rest of Europe, in that if Ukraine can be invaded and overtaken by Vladimir Putin, so can any other democracy in Europe. And they have a very good point, namely that Vladimir Putin sees the existence of democracies, especially in Eastern Europe, as a threat to him and a threat to his greater goal of bringing back the glory of Mother Russia and the glory of the Soviet Union. So if you're Latvia or Estonia or Lithuania, some of the Baltic states that could be rolled over by Vladimir Putin in a couple of days, conceivably, although his military is now in question, you're very, very much worried about that. And obviously, the Ukrainians are trying to use that fear as a motivator for the rest of Europe to get behind them and for the United States and NATO to stand up to them.
Yeah, and one of Russia's reasons, right, Putin's reason for his unprovoked invasion of a sovereign country was this claim of genocide, namely the Russian-speaking Ukrainians in the east. This is, of course, false. We know that. But now the two sides will be facing off in The Hague over this genocide claim.
That's fine. And the last time Vladimir Putin cared about any kind of international governing body or what they said was probably in one of his judo competitions. So there's really no value to any of these international bodies and claims in the International Criminal Court or on and on and on. Might make a difference later for some of his generals if this ends with Putin out of office and the generals somehow being tried for war crimes or something like that. But typically dictators and that their crew don't really care. They live by jungle rules, for lack of a better term. And the brutality that they are willing to deal justice with and deal with their own people and deal with any dissent within their own ranks is much tougher than anything that will happen or could happen to anyone at the Hague or the International Criminal Court. So it's always nice to see, I guess, in a way. But when you're on the ground, as I was, say, in Libya in 2011, dealing with some of the same things, that there were going to be charges of genocide and on, or in Ukraine in 2014, we've been going at this with Vladimir Putin about his invasion of Crimea and eastern Ukraine and some of the very same charges since 2014, and nothing's changed. So there's no really reason to think it actually will matter either to the Ukrainians or to Vladimir Putin and his military to get him to stop.
All right, Leland, thanks for waking up so early with us. Good morning. And you can watch
you too.
On Balance with Leland Vittert every weeknight on NewsNation. That's at 7 Eastern, 7 p.m. and 6 o'clock Central.
Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.